our YouTube channel.
The last time you saw us, we were in the hospital and I was giving birth to our beautiful baby boy. And right now, our beautiful baby boy is on the breast feeding. And that is because...
very hungry.
Yes, we actually just got him registered today and he's really due a feed. And this is the only time we have to film this video. So we thought, why not do two things at the same time?
Yeah, let's multitask. So this video is going to be all about Leah's birth story. So obviously you guys saw the birth vlog, but we're going to go into much more detail in this video and explain everything that happened. And we're also going to answer some of your questions too. Let's start from the beginning. So on the 10th of January, Leah went in for her induction. We went in at like, I think it was 8 AM, was it?
8 AM. I think I couldn't sleep, so I phoned up at like 6 AM, just making sure we had a bed.
Yeah.
Because we was told that maybe in case of any emergencies or unexpected deliveries, I might not have a bed. But we phoned up about 5 or 6 and they said, yep, you can come in at 8.
So we got ourselves as ready as you could. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I was just imagining us getting ready, like, and I was like, thinking of getting Oakley ready, and then I realised, oh my gosh, we wouldn't have had Oakley then because he wasn't with us.
So yeah, we got there and I started my induction. For the induction, they explained to me what was going to happen, and that is a long process, which I did know already.
Yeah.
Basically they put this tea bag inside.
So it's a pessary which is filled with hormones to try and get the cervix to open, and this hormones, you have to keep it in usually for 24 hours. But before they actually put it in, they checked your cervix.
And when they checked my cervix, oh my god, it was so painful. And the reason why it was so painful is because my cervix was so high and baby, well, Oakley was so low. So it was really hard to like get their fingers around. The lady actually said that it was the hardest examination she ever had to do. So I was literally like holding on to Caitlin in so much pain.
Yeah, it was so awful for you. Like that, I feel like that was like
that was the hardest.
That was the hardest part, because obviously the aim of the induction is to either put you into labour or to make you dilate enough so that they can break your waters to help you go naturally into labour. And yeah, so Leah had the pessary. We were told we had 24 hours, so we decided to go on a walk. You were doing those like stepping things where you step up and down the stairs in like a funny way to try and get things going. And you had to come back. We went and got some food and you came back, and they have to check baby is coping okay with it, don't they? So you went on the monitor, which is these like pink and blue bands with 2 monitors to check the contractions if you're having any, and the baby's heart rate.
So yeah, that was all fine. Baby was coping okay, and then we thought, you know what, we might as well go for another walk. We want to try and get things going. So when I was on this walk, I remember saying to Caitlin, it feels like I have a bowling ball down below. It literally felt so heavy, like a bowling ball was attached below. And I can't explain it. I've never felt anything like it before. It's very, very strange. It almost felt like a really, really, really heavy period, you know, when it sort of hurts down below. But about 50 times worse than what I normally feel my period. So that was really odd. And then we went back because I was starting to panic.
You were like struggling to go back though, weren't you? You were like wobbling and like I had to keep taking breaks to go back.
Yeah. So we went back. We thought, you know what, we'll just stay in the bed, we'll stay in the ward to be on the safe side. And then eventually that pain went to my back, and then much later on it went to my stomach. So when they put us back on the baby monitor, they could see that I was actually contracting because there was a little graph that went up and down with the contractions.
But they were very quick, like very, very soon together, and very, very quick contractions. And
they would last not long at all though.
No, they wouldn't last long at all. And baby's heart rate started to just be constantly high, like not skyrocketing, but just like you have a graph,
it was just above that.
It was just above it, but it was staying above it. It wasn't like dipping and going up and dipping and going up. It was just staying above it. So they left it for a while, and they were just kind of monitoring it to see how he was reacting. And anyway, after a couple of hours, with it still being high, they were like, okay, the doctors have said we should take out the pessary because they don't think the baby is responding well to it. So they had to take the pessary out. But they thought, you know, it might have been working because Leah was having contractions. So when they took it out, they decided to do another vaginal examination to see if Leah had dilated. So one midwife did it just about, like, it took a lot. Leah had to put pillows under her, and it took a long time to get this examination done, and it was so painful for you, wasn't it?
It was very painful.
And this midwife was like, okay, I think you're 2 centimeters dilated. So we were obviously really, really happy. We're like, okay, it's working. Oh my gosh, Leah's 2 centimeters. But because it was such a hard examination, they said, we're going to get another midwife to check. So another midwife did the examination and was like, you're completely closed, like it's not worked at all.
But then when Caitlin left, because obviously visiting hours were from 8 AM to 8 PM.
Yeah, so I had to leave.
Yeah, a doctor come around and said, we're going to put a different doctor come around and said, we're going to put the pessary back in. The baby was responding fine. He was just excitable. He was absolutely fine. And we're going to put it back in. So I said, you know what? Caitlin's not here at the moment. I don't want to go through that examination by myself, and I don't really want to make that decision without Caitlin being here.
Especially when there was one doctor that said baby wasn't responding okay to it, and then you have another doctor coming in and saying, it was a doctor and the midwife saying that the baby wasn't responding well, and then this doctor came in and said, oh, he was fine. So it was a bit harder for you to like have to make a decision. So they let me sleep on it. So I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to try and get sleep. I've not got the pessary in. I'm going to try and sleep. So that night, it was about 3 AM, and I heard, oh my gosh, the most loudest, painful scream. Like, this lady, it sounded like she was in so much pain, bless her heart. And do you know what? It just made my mind up. And I thought, do you know what? I can't do this. I genuinely can't do this. My mental health was really bad at this point. I was absolutely petrified. And I thought, I need to have a C-section. Like, my mind just clicked all the way along. I was literally like, I'm not having a C-section. That scares me more. You were terrified of a C-section. You were like absolutely petrified. Yeah. The whole time she's been pregnant, she was like, I cannot have a C-section. I will never want to have a C-section. Like, not because I think they're bad, but literally because the thought of somebody cutting up my belly petrifies me more than giving birth. But my mind completely switched, and I was like so set on having a C-section. I'm not gonna lie, I did have to sort of persuade the midwives and the doctors. I feel like a lot of people were against it. But knowing what we know now, he was £9.1. I genuinely don't think I would have been able to push him out. You would not have been able to push him out. No. When I say my mental health was really bad, I just felt really alone at night times. I was so sick. I was literally, I threw up about 8 times. I had to be put on a drip. And you were contracting as well. Even though she didn't have the pessary in, you continued contracting, didn't you? Yeah, it was just, I knew I was dehydrated because I had been dehydrated before. Anything I was eating, I was literally throwing up. Eventually, even if you were having like water, you were throwing it up. Like, the midwives were amazing, but you are alone in there. Yeah, it was just so sad, like, having to leave you and let you like go through that by yourself. Obviously I was on the phone to you, but it's not the same as being there and like actually being able to help you. It was just so awful having to leave you like that. But on the plus side, my C-section experience was very positive. It was very positive. You were very anxious, but you did amazing. And I just want to say, just because my induction story wasn't the most positive doesn't mean whoever's watching this, your one might not be. I don't want my story to dishearten your pregnancy and your journey, because everybody is absolutely completely different. I know that there's probably so many people that have had an induction and was completely fine, and the baby was fine. Yeah, so everybody's different. Everyone's an individual and has different experiences. Yeah, I'm literally just talking about my experience, and I hope that is very, very clear. So on to the C-section. Originally it was going to be on the 11th of January, but there was emergencies, which is completely understandable. So we waited until the 12th of January, and Leah was the first one to go in, which we were shocked about. Because that morning the doctors came round and they were like, we've got so many C-sections today, I don't actually know if we're going to be able to fit you in. And then next thing you know, there was loads of twins and triplets. And, and then next thing you know, they came round and was like, you're on top of the list, you're going in first. So you were very lucky with that. I was very lucky. I had a quick cry, and they said to Caitlin to go in the other room and to get changed. So whilst Caitlin was getting changed,
there was this nurse, and I don't know her name, but she was so comforting. I literally walked in the room and it looked so surgical. It looked really scary. It was all white, and there was like this little single bed in the corner.
It's like metal bed.
And everything looked just so scary. And I literally walked in, burst out crying, and she hugged me. She literally put both arms around me, hugged me and said, I promise I will look after you and baby. And then Caitlin eventually came in, and I just had to answer loads of questions.
But you were, when I came in, because you cried before I was able to come in, because I didn't, as soon as I came in, you were sitting there so calm, and I was actually shocked.
Really?
I came in my like surgical uniform, and yeah, you were sitting there on the metal bed like so focused and so calm. I didn't even know you'd been crying.
Really?
And I was so shocked, because you were like, I was expecting Leah to be full-blown panic mode, but she was sitting there just completely like,
I have to admit, she was literally so comforting. She was like, she reminded me of like Nana Thelma.
Yeah.
And Nana Carol. Like she was really lovely. And then they were like, right, we're gonna put this spinal block. We're gonna give you a spinal block, and you have to let us know if you feel anything. So they gave me it, and I could feel things.
Do you know how big this needle was?
Huge. I've heard it's like that big. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. It was huge, this needle.
Really?
Going into your back. They
put
a local anaesthetic in first, and then they put in this like huge needle into her back.
But I remember I saw this TikTok that as long as you're sitting in the right position, you won't feel it that bad. So the lady was telling me how to sit, and I remember I just kept thinking in my head, I mustn't move, I must go.
Did you feel anything?
Not really, because I literally was like this, if I remember right.
Yeah,
like I was,
were.
And I remember hearing that as long as you sit okay, it won't be as bad. She said to me, we're gonna wait, and then we're gonna touch your belly and tell me if you can feel anything and your legs.
Oh, what we actually didn't realise was when you have a spinal block, it doesn't stop touch.
Exactly.
It only stops pain.
So she said to me, let me know if you can feel anything, because after they give you it, they have to check your legs and your belly to make sure you can't feel anything. And it's like, I can feel something, I can feel you touching me. Like, it's not working, you can't do it. And they're like, no, you can feel like tugs and...
Yeah, you can
touch,
feel. They can't get rid of the feeling of touch.
Yeah.
But they get rid of the pain. So when you're having a C-section, you can feel.
Oh.
Well, I don't know because I haven't been through it, but from what they were saying, what you said, you can feel the pulling and stuff, but you can't feel the pain of it, which is what the spinal block does.
So I had a little bit of a panic, and I was like, are you sure it's worked? Because I can feel things.
And then they get this cold spray and they put it on the numb part and then put it on the top part until, like, to show you the difference in the feeling.
Yeah. And I couldn't feel it. So then obviously they asked me if I wanted a C, if I wanted this blue sheet up to cover obviously my belly and everything, and me being me said yes, I want it covered up. Caitlin probably would not have had it covered up.
No, I probably wouldn't. Maybe for the initial like cutting open, but if I was you, I would have be like, can you drop it so I can see?
Yeah, so obviously they put that up, and then they started the C-section.
And the weirdest noise we ever heard, so we was just sitting there talking, I was trying to distract Leah, and then we started hearing this weird noise.
Did we?
Yeah, and it was
noise?
Your water's breaking.
I didn't know what you were talking.
They have to still break your waters
Yeah.
when they do a C-section, like from obviously going into your stomach. And it was the weirdest noise. It was like a shh.
But they didn't tell us. They didn't say, right, we're going to break your waters. We just heard this. It was like a hose.
Yeah, it was really loud, and we were like, what's that? I panicked for a minute thinking, oh my god, is it blood? Is she bleeding out?
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that.
So the C-section went ahead. Leah did amazing, and then they said to me, you can watch if you want.
Wow.
So I stood up on my tiptoes and I watched the whole thing. So when I stood up, I could see his head was out, and I watched him do the whole like pulling him out and everything.
Awesome.
Are you still hungry?
They told us that they wanted to do a natural C-section, where that means that the baby basically takes itself out, starting from the head, but Oakley didn't want to do
so,
that.
So his head was out, and they were just like stroking him and just rubbing him, trying to encourage him to wiggle himself out. Yeah, and he didn't do it. He just like laid there not doing anything, so they had to pull him out. And
then when they pulled him out, oh my god, the cry was like nothing you've ever heard before. Even the midwives and the doctors were like, that baby has the loudest cry I have ever heard, ever.
He cried so loud. So loud.
But we were just so relieved, because I feel like once you're given birth, you're just waiting for that cry. So everyone else was like, oh my god, and we were like, oh.
Yeah, thank God for that. He's okay. He's crying. He's alright. For me, watching the C-section experience was like, it was just the most incredible thing to watch, like him coming out of you and everything. It was like mind-blowing. I actually videoed the whole thing, and I just keep showing everybody, don't I? I'm like, watch this, watch this. Leah was scared to watch it at
but
first.
Now I watch it a lot. I watch it a lot in bed.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because it's not gory or anything like that. Because it's all covered up. It's just, you see him just coming out of like the little hole, and it's the most amazing thing. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
But how was the C-section experience for you?
It was really good. The hardest part is the aftermath. I couldn't even do a lot when I first got back. I have recovered quite quick. Obviously, I'm not fully recovered. I know that takes many weeks. But I'm doing so much better. I remember when I got home, I was like crying because I
barely get off the sofa, get off the anything.
No, and I thought, well, if they can't get off the sofa, if I'm struggling to walk up the stairs, how am I going to do anything with Oakley? But it's been fine. We've been absolutely fine.
You've done amazing.
Good. But if you guys do want a video on like postpartum, anything like that, please do let us know in the comments, because I feel like I could talk a lot about that. Okay, so that is my birth story. I think we're going to do some videos answering your guys' questions. We're also going to do postpartum, and yeah, if you did like this video,
please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe and all that jazz, and we'll see you in a video next week.
By the way, please don't comment saying how tired we look, because we get in that comment so many times, and of course we're tired. We've got a newborn baby.
It's normal.
Yeah,
it's normal.
But those comments aren't very helpful.
No.
So please don't say that. But yeah, we love you guys very much.
We love you all so much. Bye.
Bye. So this is my belly 15 days after birth. Not gonna lie, I am struggling a little bit with my body, because obviously it's changed a lot, but I will forever be grateful